Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Filmmaker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo. We're here at the South Park Center. I'm delighted to be joined with Chris with his movie, Terminally Ill. Let's take a look at the clip.
Didn't know how to say goodbye. Riding that purple Cadillac to the sky. Didn't want our last conversation to be sad and whack, so I put it in a rap.
Paging Dr. Lund to the nurse's station.
16 bars, 16 more minutes. 16 years old, call me with that Guinness. 16 ain't enough, our rap won't finish. That's bars on bars just to see you replenish.
Chris, firstly, welcome to the NFMLA family.
Thank you for having me.
We're happy to have you. We'll never let you go. Now that's it. You'll be
Amazing.
part of us forever. Seriously though, this was incredible having your film at the festival last night, and an absolutely brilliant idea, and so glad that you brought it to us. For those that haven't seen your film, tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so Terminally Ill is about a young man who visits his grandmother's deathbed, and he discovers as he's speaking to her that if he raps his last words to her, it will actually keep her alive. So the whole thing kind of spirals into this absurdist musical comedy in the span of 8 minutes.
It's an amazing idea, Chris. Like, so good. Like, I can't believe I'm laughing and crying at the same time. Like, this is amazing. This is beautiful. And you know, you'd think with the title that you were just going down in one direction, but this has got so many layers and context that it was amazing. Where did this musical comedy set around this particular scene? Where did this story come about for you?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your kind words about it.
Yeah.
And I think to the point of laughing and crying, that kind of was the two different entry points of it, of this tonal balance of the comedy, but then, you know, the kind of other shoe that has to drop by the end of the film.
Yeah.
And so I actually came in through the comedy side of it and the musical side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of came up just loving, you know, hip hop music and music videos, used to just watch them religiously.
Mm-hmm.
But then also loving like sketch comedy and stand-up comedy and, you know, comedy movies. So I've always wanted to blend those things in my work. And, you know, having a background in journalism too, and music journalism. So I guess it kind of saw more of the comedic, like the what if side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend that, you know, we were talking through another project that I was having trouble making, and he pitched me an idea of making a movie about me pitching a movie, but I had to rap in order to pitch the movie. I wasn't a fan of the idea, but I slept on it, and I was like, oh, like I like this nugget of you know, someone who has to rap in order to communicate.
Yeah.
And that's where the what if started. Like, what if you had to rap in order to save your grandmother's life?
Wow.
And then for the kind of, you know, the other more dramatic side of it, it honestly took through, you know, throughout the process. This honestly wasn't apparent to me at the beginning, but that it was inspired by some real life losses I had. Both my grandmothers are actually alive, but I lost my grandfather a couple years ago, along with a couple other friends around the same time, and kind of, I think this was, you know, a way of processing through that, but a way of kind of like being in this like liminal space of answering the question of like, what do you want to hear from like the people you love before they go?
It's always so wonderful to see a film. You're like, wow, I've never seen this before, you know? And by the way, I just want to say, like, this was like, you had to get some really talented actors to come and play these roles.
Yes.
And my God, both of them just blew it out of the park. Like,
Yes.
How did you come up? I mean, this must be really fun to play as an actor. So they're probably like, well, I'm sure when you found your cast, like, I want to do this part. This is amazing. Like, how was that casting process? Because I'm sure it was really, really fun.
It was really fun. You know, we knew that like we kind of had to start out from our kind of hero rapper named Fonzel and build out from there. So I had actually seen Benjamin Earl Turner
Good.
He's incredible.
Yeah.
And I'd seen him in the TV show Blind Spotting. I actually had been living up in Oakland at the time, so I was a big fan of the movie, and so I was excited when the show came out. And he plays kind of like a supporting character, but it's just, he has that sort of talent where you're like, there's something to this guy. Like, he's, you know, fit kind of what we were looking for in terms of like, oh, like he's a rapper, he actually raps in real life, but he's also has a great sense of humor and is like very charming. has this kind of boyish quality as well.
Yeah.
So we reached out directly to him with an offer, and he was extremely excited about it and very collaborative throughout the whole process too. Honestly, I always say the idea kind of evolved because initially to me the idea was that like he was kind of this like the character was this like corny bad rapper because I was writing the raps and I can't write raps. But then he came and we had like a half day rehearsal with the whole cast like a day before we shot, and I was like, a great idea could come from anywhere. If you guys have anything you want to try, I'm open to it. And so he actually came up with a lot of really great stuff that we ended up then putting in the script and made it into the film.
Oh, and so there's a little bit of like stuff you kind of collaborated on together. And,
exactly, yeah.
Amazing.
And I'd say that like, any of the kind of impressive bars or line in the film definitely came from him.
Oh.
Mine are the like rhyming ice cream sundae with church on Sunday. But no, he was incredible. And then the second part was our grandma, which we knew was going to be more of a challenge.
Oh, yeah, I love her though.
Because she also has, a particular role and a strength that we need that's very specific. So we also kind of went out to a couple people and like had some offers out and some people that we were interested in, but couldn't quite make it work or find the right person. And then kind of last minute, we put out an open call. And I just asked our casting director to have people submit videos. I asked for like Black women who could present as 70 plus. And I just asked them to send me a video of them rapping Rapper's Delight. And so we got a bunch of really funny, great things. And I did that just because I wanted to see like, for me, what was important in her role was that like she had to, be able to rap and have a musical side. And also just like be warm and inviting, and also have like a sense of humor.
Yeah.
So Deborah Sharp Taylor, who ended up getting the role, like to me, I saw her video and it was just so apparent that she had all those strengths to her. And again, was very collaborative, came up with some lines on her end as well. Found out she was a music teacher. So like we did a rehearsal and like when her and Benjamin met, they immediately clicked and then had that like musician, performer, actor brain as well. So it worked out great. And then it's kind of funny. They're the leads, obviously, but with the other two smaller characters, the nurse and the janitor, those are both friends of mine.
Really? Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Kept it in the family,
Kept it in the family. And like, the nurse, Jana, she is an actress who I met while I was in film school, and we've been good friends for, almost 10 years now. And I was like, I feel like she could do this. Like, she has a great sense of humor and timing. Yeah. And the janitor is like a family friend, John Dog, who actually is not an actor. He's an AC actually.
Oh, cool.
But he's such a character. He kind of, like showed up at my family Thanksgiving like 15 years ago and never left. That type of person. Yeah. And he literally was like shooting in Vegas. We shot during the strike, so he was like looking for work wherever he could, but like drove down here to LA to shoot with us for like half a day and like put on the costume, and immediately like we were all like, oh yeah, this is perfect.
Oh, amazing. I mean, honestly, like you had obviously clearly had a great team of people, but a really great, it's always nice when you've got a really strong team of collaborators that are all part of the process and making the film as well. What was it like for you, Chris, directing this particular piece? Because this was not, this is probably a little tricky to direct too. You've got someone who's basically in a coma, essentially. You've got obviously, there's rap in it as well, and you got this kind of connection that you're having as well. Like, what was your kind of forte and rehearsal and how you kind of built this sort of this scene up and these characters up?
Yeah, that's a great question and a big question I had for myself getting into it.
Yeah.
Especially that I spent the past couple of years actually as a producer in the commercial space. So it was the first thing I directed, honestly, since, just after film school, which was a couple years ago. And I was like, how are we going to do this? Even from the director and producer brain of like, there's like a practical part of it, of like the music and like, how's this going to work? Because like, it's something that like very easily could have been just like bad and corny. In terms of the directing and working with actors, I think it was, again, just comes down to collaboration and being receptive. Like I'm not someone who thinks that a director is, the dictator on set and so to me, it was like, I always defer to like, I'm like, you guys could act better than me. You could sing better than me. You could rap better than me. I'm here to give you boundaries, but let's try things and maybe they won't work and maybe they will. For example, like with kind of our twist ending of the grandma waking up and rapping, like we had tried that several different ways, including like keeping the beat on and having her like rap on the beat and this, that, and the other. And then after we got through that, it was nice because it allowed Deborah to like memorize the lines. And then we ended up doing what made it into the film, which I thought was much more authentic and honest, which was kind of more of this spoken word of her saying these lines. And it was like, oh yeah, like that's where her instinct went without me even giving her direction. So I think it was just developing that trust. And I think we had like 2 rehearsals. It was, one with just her and Benjamin, which was honestly more of like a chemistry, just getting them comfortable with each other and the lines, going through lines. And then we had that half day, like I said, before we shot. Yeah. And I think that was just crucial, even on like, I think in terms of process, like people don't talk often enough about just like that chemistry part of it, of being good, of just like getting through things. Like I wasn't, looking for them to get things perfect in rehearsal. I was looking for them to get comfortable with each other. And also to try things. And to me, that was really crucial in just establishing, here's the new lines. Here's like, okay, too big, too small. So like, that was kind of the approach in terms of directing the actors. And a strength to both of them as well is like, they took direction very well. And again, it was pretty subtle. Like, and one thing I remember like talking to Benjamin doing kind of, I think in that section where he gets up and kind of starts like freestyling before the beat drops in, and like we were looking for a really specific cadence of like, we know the lines, but like you have to act as though you don't know them and you're discovering them. And he was like, I feel like I'm doing that. So like, what, you have to tell me if I'm not. And I was like, I don't think you are, but I don't know why. And I was like, this might sound dumb, but I was like, I need you to like rap as though you're like Pac-Man trying to like catch up to the lines. And I was like, in my head, I was like, that was so dumb. He's not gonna get it. And then he nailed it, and he was like, that direction was great. and so it's those sort of things where it's like, I think there's, you got to think about different ways to think
absolutely. And it's that connection that you share with each other, and that and it's nice, and you got to try things to hit to that mark. So it's always nice when you're working with somebody like, that was it, there's it's multiple levels. This is obviously, got this kind of musical comedy element. You obviously come from a music journalism background yourself, so you've got that experience, etc. But there is also this obviously very endearing part where between a grandson and a grandmother, and this very special relationship that would be a very tragic in normal circumstances incident. And I think there's always this power. We want to believe that there's that if we're talking to someone that is in this situation that like they can hear us, right? But then the fact that you did it through rap was actually so endearing and so beautiful between them in this experience. And just kind of like, it's very hard to sort of like, really think about what you wanted people to take from it. But like on multiple levels, like people were loving it last night. I was in the audience, they were laughing. I could feel the times they were quiet. What did you want your audience to sort of experience when you film?
Yeah, I remember even from working in advertising, like my first day at my last job, I remember there's a producer that was like, when you start a project, like the first question you should ask is, how do you want people to feel? And I'm a little like, I very much believe in that, but I'm a little at odds with it. Because I think, if I were to answer that question, I think kind of a loophole, but I would be like, oh, like I just want them to feel the honesty and the authenticity of every moment, which is why I think tonally the balance is all over the place, but I also think it's why that works. That I'm like, okay, like I want you to feel the honesty of the moment, of the gravity of like, we've established clearly visually, like, this is his guy, this is his grandma. These are their last moments together. But I also want to feel the sincerity of both ends of like, to me, some of the like funniest stuff is said in some of the most heartbreaking moments. Like when the grandma gets up and says like, let me go, like Frozen, like that's so ridiculous. But it's also part of the sentiment where the film turns, where she's like, you have to let me go. I think
it was a lot. That was beautiful.
Thank you. And there is like there's both sides of that. Like that's the tragedy and the comedy of like, this is really funny, but also it's real. And I just wanted to kind of like, I wanted people to feel the connection between these two people. And the range of what this dynamic could be, and acknowledge that like these things could be funny,
Yeah.
and they could be sad at the same time.
You managed to, I mean, Chris, it was a genius. You managed to weave in all of these different, feelings and contexts that you could take from it. It was really, really special. Where are you taking us next, Chris? What's going on? What's the next project, the next story? Where are you taking us?
Yeah, so we initially, my team had put this together as kind of, since I hadn't directed for a while, I had a different feature that I wrote that was trying to get off the ground. So I'm really interested in still pursuing that. That's kind of based on my time working in music journalism, this over the top doppelganger satire set in the world in New York. But then I started working on this and really fell in love with the two characters. So I'm developing a kind of buddy road trip comedy between these two that takes place before the short starts. And we actually recently got a grant from the SF Film Rainin Foundation for that, for development.
Congratulations.
So yeah, it's really exciting, and kind of just head down between redrafting that and pushing it through development and all that fun stuff. Yeah.
Well, Chris, honestly, thank you to all of your cast and your crew and your whole team and all the collaboration you did together, and looking forward to the next project. Just keep bringing it back to us, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chris, everybody. Thank you.